What's going on, guys? It's Jeff. Back here on some more Modern Warfare. Midnight Merc bundle is out. It's literally just not special at all. I don't get it. Overgrown 2. Is this new? Old? I don't know. It's crazy. This is a whole legendary blueprint, apparently. It has entry-level camouflage over top of it with no, I don't know, inspect or something. Like, hello? Oh, so my monitor ended up getting here a bit earlier than I was expecting it to. It was supposed to get here in like a week and a half or so from the point that I ordered it like 3 days ago or so. This ended up showing up here like a day and a half or so ago. So we got flat monitor here, curved monitor here, curved monitor here. So I'm upgrading from a 1440 240 hertz monitor to a 1440 360 hertz monitor. I have never played in 360 hertz before, and in this video you're not going to see me going like real high. I mean, you can see like a 340 right there real quick, 270. It's over 240, so I know that I was losing value is my point. I'm consistently well over 240, so I'm getting, you know, 50 more hertz, 40 more hertz on average than I'm used to anyway. This is also with like, you know, the graphics being set a little bit higher just for like viewer experience. So when I initially started this up, I actually thought that my settings were reset or something, because as soon as I started moving in this map, I don't know why it is either, but Shoot House actually has better frames than Shipment. I don't know why. Maybe it's like from all the explosions being near your character or something. I don't know. This map for some reason seems to get more frames. I thought my settings reset. I thought that I had motion blur, because when I'm doing this, you guys aren't going to be able to see any difference at all, but when I'm doing this, like, I can see the difference. It's moving so smoothly that it's like, it's closer to real life, and I don't know how to explain that. It's odd. I can't imagine what 500 hertz is like. You would think you would see a big difference in like a plus 140, plus 120 hertz added. Still not as big of a difference as 120 to 240 or 60 to 120, but there's definitely a difference between 240 to 360. Just not as big of a difference. This is at 1440p as well, by the way. I'd assume I'd probably be getting like 20, 30 more frames or something at 1080p. 1% lows would be a lot better. Yeah, so the talk of the community has recently been about Call of Duty and Call of Duty dying. I gotta be the most unhopeful person on the planet. The thing is, Call of Duty is literally talked about being dead like year after year after year. The difference is that this is like the biggest selling Call of Duty like all time, and now the player count has been dropping over and over and over again. And here's the thing, everybody is acting like this is brand new. It's not. It's maybe brand new for a lot of like the Warzone people, but you haven't had enough of a history to even know what would happen. It's just all hope, really. But if we talk about the likelihood of what's gonna happen to everything, it was pretty obvious of what would happen to Warzone. If they had done it for over, you know, a decade straight to multiplayer, why would they not start doing similar things to Warzone, which I warned everybody about. I was talking about it. I was like, they're going to treat Warzone the same way that they treat multiplayer. They'll spend an entire year fixing up all of their issues and stuff like that. We get all of these great quality of life changes. The game is great. People are happy with it. It's finally a playable game, and then they're already on to the next game. The next game is already out soon. The other devs have already been working on it, but it's a cycle. No matter who the studio is, it's a cycle that all of them get into where they're just moving on to the next one. The nice thing about Call of Duty is that even if they produce a terrible game, they'll just produce another one. Also, in that same vein, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because it's not just a thing where they're making the best possible business decision, because realistically, what if they go and make a Call of Duty that is potentially the greatest Call of Duty they've ever made, player counts are up and everything, and then they know that they have to actually leave that game behind when they go and make the next game and start pushing the next game, because over the past decade, they have always abandoned the last game. And I mean abandoned in terms of like, the updates will come out exponentially slower. You'll be very lucky if you get any kind of DLC. Treyarch tends to do some DLCs going back in time a little bit, but they have already moved on is my point. If you think about it from their standpoint, even if you made a diamond, they're leaving that diamond in the rough. They leave it there. Even if they get a diamond, even if they produce a great thing, they're going to throw it away for the next one, even if it's a less shiny diamond, even if it is a literal piece of shit. All of the quality of life changes and things that we think that the devs will, quote, learn in their process of doing these games and doing the research on it, and you would think business practice-wise, they would utilize these things so they don't have to deal with the backlash and stuff that they're currently getting now. So in the same way that it's frustrating that you see people buy Call of Duty year over year over year, no matter how dog it is, it's also frustrating in the same way for people that are actually fans of the series, and when they finally get a good game, it's just thrown away for the next one the year after. And with Warzone, you know, it's 3 years. Sorry. They're just going to make the changes even slower. Actually, they won't do that this time because the player numbers are actually going down and people are able to actually show proof now. I think that this has happened literally every single year, no matter what Call of Duty it has been. It would have a peak, and then it would slowly decline. Every single game has that. Call of Duty, specifically the Call of Duty cycle, we know it. I think that this graph is the usual. It might be a little more extreme because everybody's used to the highs of everything. I don't think this is the, like, decline all time. Like, I'm pretty sure people already had their minds made up and were already done with Vanguard. Shit, they didn't even buy Vanguard. Also nice to actually look at the player numbers so people can't sit there and pretend like it's not happening. One issue that I'm finding as well is, listen, I want DMZ to do well. Genuinely, I do. I had my hopes up a bit because I would rather any alternative besides a BR at the moment. I still play MP, but you Battle Royale guys haven't been put on the back burner quite yet. Some people have some passion and they're like, oh dude, DMZ is it. Everybody's coming to play DMZ. The population has been dropping regardless. Just because a population is dropping doesn't necessarily mean that the game is dying, okay? Or that there is something wrong with the game. But in this case, it is a very obvious, you know, case of the game. In terms of, like, say for example, Elden Ring, some people are like crazy with it. Some people like be hating Elden Ring so bad. It's like April or something and they're like, what about that Elden Ring game you guys were hyping up? None of you guys are playing it now? Dude, it's like a single player experience. Oh, it doesn't need to be, but it's a single player experience. That's like saying like, oh look, well I guess God of War Ragnarok isn't that great because 100,000 concurrent players aren't on. Just intellectually dishonest. So while yes, DMZ does have potential and DMZ isn't the worst mode. I know you're passionate. I know that you want DMZ to succeed. That'd be nice. But we also don't need to lie. DMZ is not really preventing anyone from quitting. Now, I know that somebody's gonna leave a comment and say like, oh, me and my boys have been playing it, whatever. We would have quit a long time ago, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I'm sure that there are some people that exist. I'm saying that hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of players are not all collectively making this decision based on DMZ. And by decision, I mean the decision to just straight up stop playing. The crazy thing about Call of Duty is that they can always manage to get people to come back. No matter how many mistakes they made, no matter how terrible the track record, no matter how many times you can scream from the mountaintops how your input literally doesn't matter. They've already moved all this support and everything on to the next one. They're just moving on. Regardless, whether or not any of what I'm saying is right or wrong, the idea in my head, the culmination of things where they didn't listen to the Warzone 1 things, they didn't listen to the general Modern Warfare thing, just from the last game, you would think when you make a sequel, you would take it and then improve upon it. Obviously, it's a very multifaceted thing as to why player counts would go up and down, but we also all have brains here. Everybody just had the highest highs when they were playing Warzone 1 in the middle of quarantine, all that stuff, peak gaming time, and then they come out with this that doesn't feel or seem anything like their first iteration of Warzone 1. But you're somehow trying to think that you can trick these players, these free-to-play players, that will absolutely leave if it's trash. They'll come back though, but they will leave if it's trash. So how do we say Modern Warfare 2 Warzone 2? Basically, try to make everything feel a bit more close to the original. Go back and watch my Modern Warfare 2019 video, and you'll see exactly what I mean in terms of the way that the characters are. Even without slide canceling. I cannot guarantee that they're gonna bring back slide canceling or something, but they need to make the game faster. It's odd. The flow of this game is faster than Modern Warfare 2019's. The flow of this game is actually faster because the maps are better. The maps flow a lot better. The spawns aren't nearly as bad as launch Modern Warfare 2019. By this point, you know, a couple months after. It was still bad. Team Deathmatch was virtually unplayable. Ghost of Hope ended up putting out a tweet. It's kind of a cryptic tweet. It looks like this. Basically, what I pulled from this is that it's just saying, oh, well, player count is dropping, which means that they will make changes now because people have stopped playing. Now, they're doing this obviously because they put the majority of their eggs in the Warzone basket. And now since they shot themselves in the foot with this dumbass design idea, bringing no quality of life changes over from the last game, it just makes absolutely no sense. Listen, I understand that it could be like a decision by Activision or something like that, but there's no way that the devs don't all speak out together or have some kind of input where they go like, yo, we made all these quality of life things. We crunched, I don't know how many hours trying to get all these changes in. We made these redeployed balloons, all of this other stuff. Then they're somehow not in the game immediately. It just doesn't make sense to me. It should be there off rip. It's not extra content. It should be the base game now. You build off of that. That's why you did all of the building to begin with. Why are you making a sequel if you're starting over? And pretty much, again, it is a rumor, but it all but confirms that there will be changes. This isn't even something that Ghost of Hope needed to say. Make anyone feel like, why? What did I do? I'm using a weapon that has lowest TTKs at close range with full auto. If they're making changes to the game, it's going to be a thing where it's likely reduce or even get rid of that penalty that everybody has whenever you're jumping and ADSing. You get a crazy big like ADS penalty on this game, which really makes it feel like sluggish in a way, where these games are really meant to feel very, very snappy. That's what a lot of people feel like. They want to be able to, you know, snap from one thing to another. And while you can build things like much faster, it's still exponentially slower than, you know, know, what everybody is used to. I can't say for certain in terms of specifically Warzone related changes, but I mean just base game in general that would affect both overall. I think the feel of the game is going to get changed a little bit. Baseline movement is something that will affect both straight up. I think sprint to fire speeds might be shortened. I think ADS speeds will be faster. I think that jump shot thing will get reduced or removed completely. It's not like this meta is particularly bad. It's just that we've had it for such a long time. Even in multiplayer and Warzone as well, they are different in terms of their metas, but they have been pretty concrete for a while. People are finding things that can compete and stuff like that. People are always going to find things that are kind of close, but there's still, you know, the best all-purpose kind of thing that people are just going to run. It's just the best thing. So all my battle rifles are done. I haven't sniped in a bit, so this is going to be odd. But I think that there are some things that they can change immediately. A lot of people think that whenever people are asking for changes, they're asking for like this massive thing. I understand I'm not a dev, but a lot of it really is decision making and deciding whether or not it's a good idea to literally just change a number, your sprint to fire speed, your general ADS speed, just a number that could just be turned down. And universally things could be like this. Obviously can introduce bugs and all that other stuff. It goes through testing, whatever. I'm not saying that this is easy, but what I am saying is that balance changes, gameplay related changes are new content. They have to understand this. Make changes to the game. You guys apparently took a ridiculous shot in the dark with this. You guys thought that you could hit the shot or something. I don't even know. So now why not just fire off more shots in the dark, throw a bunch of shit at the wall. You know the shit that stuck to that wall before. Try it out again. Maybe add like slide canceling, but in a way that's like maybe not as crazy or something. Maybe you can't slide cancel it like too many times in a row, or you can only slide cancel if you've been sprinting for whatever amount of seconds. You know what I mean? Just something. I don't know. I watched the 1FC event yesterday as well. Superbond got knocked. He hasn't been knocked out since like 2016. That was bad. I didn't expect that to happen to him like that. Dropped twice, and then on the third one, he got KO'd bad. So there's a UFC event as well tonight. We got main event is Sean Strickland versus Imavov. You guys know that Sean Strickland, I'm talking about him less than a month ago because he literally was headlining the last card before the end of the year. And now he's here for the first card of the next year. Did my camera die? That's what was happening. I forgot to plug the charger back in. I'm not gonna break it down too much, but basically, in the main event here, as much as I would like to see Imavov win, I think Strickland's gonna win this fight. I want Imavov to win though, but I don't know. There's a lot of, like, stylistically speaking, I think that Imavov is a better striker than Sean Strickland. It's not really saying much considering it is Sean Strickland. I think Imavov is the more, you know, technical striker on the feet, the more dangerous striker on the feet. I don't think too many people would say that Sean Strickland's striking is too dangerous in terms of the way that he, you know, just jabs repeatedly. But what is dangerous is his pressure. This whole thing is weird because his card has fallen apart very, very badly from what it originally was. Both of them usually compete at 185, but this fight is going to be at a catch weight to 205. I think Imavov is the overall better fighter, but in this scenario, it's a 5-round fight. Sean Strickland has a style where he has a lot of output, but he doesn't use a lot of energy in that way. Imavov has kind of consistently gassed a little bit. He is dangerous, and usually, you know, most of his wins, he ends up, you know, finishing them, hurting them, and just out-grappling them and other stuff like that. He can grapple. He's not just a striker, but he doesn't seem to be much of an offensive grappler in the sense of, like, trying to shoot takedowns, stuff like that. But once he does get down there, or he catches somebody trying to shoot in on him, he actually is pretty good at catching submissions and stuff. So, I mean, unless he catches Sean Strickland, but it doesn't make sense. Sean Strickland hasn't shot a takedown in a while. I don't know. I don't know if I see Sean Strickland shooting a takedown. Also, with this weight being weird, Sean Strickland is actually 204, 205 or some shit, and Imavov weighed in at 194. The weird thing about that, though, is if you look at them side by side when they were standing there, Strickland being assumingly, like, you know, 10 pounds more at that point in time, somehow Imavov looks much bigger. I think stylistically, Sean Strickland matches up well into Imavov. Neither of them really defend leg kicks very much. Sean Strickland doesn't throw leg kicks very much at all. I think Strickland will win. I just think his style will just be more consistently suited to win in a 5-round fight as opposed to how Imavov has fought. Dan Ige versus Damon Jackson. I'm picking Dan Ige. Ketlin Vieira, Raquel Pennington. I'm picking Vieira. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Raoni Barcelos. Barcelos actually beat Said Nurmagomedov, I think. Now, obviously, Said Nurmagomedov and Umar Nurmagomedov they're both very, very different in terms of like what their strengths are, I would say. They're both incredibly well-rounded and very, very good. And dangerous in grappling and striking, but Umar definitely has like a whole... His grappling seems like it's on another level. Barcelos did a very good job against Said, so I think too many people are counting out Barcelos, but if you take a look at Barcelos, that dude's legit. I'm gonna pick Umar. So yeah, I pick Umar, Ketlin Vieira, Dan Ige, and Sean Strickland. Soriano versus Kopylov, that's gonna be a barn burner. I don't even know that one. I'm just gonna sit back and watch it. Anyway, yeah, thank you guys so much for all the love and support on the videos, and we'll see what they do with the game in the future. I just think they're gonna, you know, make some changes to stuff, just the overall feel of the game, something like that. I think that could help alleviate and maybe bring a little bit of hype back instead of waiting around for new seasons to drop for them to do any kind of changes. They've been very, very slow on balance changes even. It's just odd. It's just very, very odd. We're still just in January, I guess, but yeah, we'll see.